Hello YouTubers, this is Alex ending with my first video of Ways of Humanity, and I'm going to be talking about Dwyane Wade. I know it's an old subject. I know he did his contract negotiations in early July, so this is kind of old right now. Been working on putting the channel together, and in between all of that, this kind of came about, and I'm a big time Miami Heat fan, so I definitely wanted to put a video out about this. So it's been a mad scramble to kind of put everything together with the channel, so now I'm going to put it together and just release this video. I know it's kind of old, like I said, 30 days or so now out. But it really just gives me an opportunity to practice with all the equipment, practice with all the software, and just really, see how this goes. So basically, as a Miami Heat fan, I'm definitely sad to see Dwyane Wade go. But ultimately, from what I've seen and what I read about the negotiations, I think it's a terrible mistake on his part. Being that we offered him 2 years for $40 million, he would have been getting $20 million a year with, the Miami Heat, and he got $2,047.5 with Chicago. It just doesn't seem like a very lucrative deal for him when you consider that there's a state tax in the state of Illinois and there's no state tax in Florida. But there's a bigger issue here that will really hinder him in the future. So with the Miami Heat organization, there have been times where, Dwyane Wade has been hurt before. And we've given him the time off to sit around and stay on the bench. And he's deserved that. Three championship titles now with the Miami Heat. He definitely deserves the opportunity to take a break whenever he needs to. And as we all know, with the NBA season, the regular season isn't as important as many people try to make it seem like. It all comes down to the playoffs. If you enter the playoffs, you have a very good chance of, making it all the way. So with a guy like Dwyane Wade, whenever he's performing, we definitely want to save his legs and have him perform at 100% for the playoffs. And when you analyze what he's going to be getting with Chicago, he's going to be getting more money for 2 years, but he's not going to have the tenure that he did with Miami Heat. So when it comes time for an opportunity for him to have to relax or rest his legs a little bit, he's not necessarily going to have that opportunity. And the main reason is, he's given the organization 13 years, 3 championships, and we know he's a little bit older. We know exactly what we signed up for. We know exactly what we're providing, what we're going to get back for that $40 million. So when it comes time for the playoffs, we know that he is going to, step it up and he's going to perform at his best ability. Now, entering the Chicago organization, he's not going to have that tenure. That tenure is no longer mean anything. He's forfeited that 13 years with the Miami Heat to now start over with the Chicago Bulls. So what happens is he's going to have to play as hard as he can. He's going to have to give 100% pretty much every single night. The Chicago fans are not going to necessarily allow him to sit on the bench here and there to rest his legs. They'll be like, yo, we gave you $47.5 million. We gave you $47.5 million for 2 years. Like, you need to step it up. This is not fair that we're just watching you sit on the bench. So his requirement now is that he's going to have to play really, really hard at 100% all the time with the Chicago Bulls. So what that's going to ultimately do is prevent him from making some real big money in that 3rd year. Now, he didn't get signed for 3 years. So when it comes time to get in that extra year after the first 2, who's going to give him that big money if his knees are pretty much shot at that point? And with the Miami Heat, we would have given him that 3rd year at a respectable amount of money. Being that there's only a $7.5 million difference for those 2 years, he's really only making about $3.5 extra million, and you factor in the state tax, it really diminishes that. So for the extra $3.5 million that he's making with Chicago, it's preventing his big money for that 3rd year, which the Miami Heat would have given him something decent. I would say maybe $8 to $12 million. Now, that's not necessarily true. I mean, it could have been less. Maybe it could have been more. Maybe we would have given him 14, maybe 16. If he would have performed out of his mind, then possibly he would have gotten even more money than that, maybe another $18, $20 million. But that potential isn't there with Chicago. He's going to have to play as hard as possible, hurt his knees, which is going to diminish his ability to earn some big money in that 3rd year. And when you factor in that he's built in a tenure which we would have given him the opportunity to sit on the bench here and there to rest his legs, it really would have ensured that he would have had that 3rd year at a high level amount of money. Should he survive those 2 years and his legs are still a little bit, able to perform, I just don't see another team really giving him a lot of money for that 3rd year. It could be some sort of veteran exception. It could be maybe just $2 to $6 million. I don't know the real details of how that works with the NBA in terms of the money, but I do see that the potential is being diminished because he's going to have to play so hard for Chicago. On top of that, you have to factor in things about his legacy, and the value of your legacy is priceless. I'm pretty sure Dwyane Wade is not hurting for money, so for him to have to go out there and get extra money really wasn't necessary. His legacy, his tenure, the whole history of Dwyane Wade with the Miami Heat is now tarnished. The ability to play 2 more years here, play 15 full seasons with the Miami Heat, with the team that drafted you, and possibly play a 16 team was priceless. On top of the fact that you would have maintained your legacy, you would have made more money in the long run, not have to deal with the state tax, and would have retired with the same team, really is something that's of utmost value. I know people are going to bring out the fact that, Pat Riley kind of offended him. I get that. That's understandable. That's the whole business side of the NBA. I mean, he has to deal with that fact that, business is business. And trust me, Pat Riley is all business. But when you factor everything and you put everything together, it's going to make a lot more sense to have stayed with the Miami Heat, get the $40 million for 2 years, and possibly get your big money on that third year. Continue to be beloved by the Miami Heat organization, the Miami fans, and certainly guarantee an opportunity to stay with the Miami Heat as possibly a coach. And those are things that get overlooked in these contract negotiations. People just look at the raw dollar amount, and that's not necessarily how it works sometimes. I mean, so you get an extra $7 million. I don't know the state tax in Illinois, but it's going to hit some part of that. And then you're going to play 2 years. Hopefully he doesn't get injured, but he's going to have to play full force that it might possibly force an injury. And should he incur an injury while those 2 years with Chicago, it's really going to hurt his ability to make any good money in that third year. Miami Heat definitely would have allowed him to sit on the bench. He definitely would have preserved his legacy. He would have probably gotten that 16th season with the Miami Heat. He would have retired as a Miami Heat Nation all the way. It would have maintained his legacy and preserved it. We probably would have had a statue for him. And in the end, is all of that worth that extra $7.5 million that you're getting for 2 measly seasons with Chicago? It's easy for me to sit here and criticize. I'm not an NBA, world-class athlete, but when you look at the numbers, it kind of doesn't make any sense. So that's just something that I just want to harp about. I know it's a month old now, but it's still going to be something that we're going to be able to overlook for the next couple of years. It's going to be real easy to pick this apart and analyze it over the next couple of years, and it's going to be real interesting to see who signs him after those 2 years. And I think when that decision is made, it's going to be real easy to see whether or not this was a mistake by Dwyane Wade. I feel it's a mistake, but then again, I'm not him. So I thank you to all that are listening to the channel, the few out there that are, fans right now, and anybody that would be listening in the future. Definitely like, share, subscribe. There'll be many videos in the future. This is something I'm going to work on. Every week I'm going to pump out a video. This is just my first one, so this format's a little different right now. You're seeing pictures in the background. I may have something else in the background in the future. I'm going to definitely, continue to put out videos out there and continue to put out content. And I definitely, want to make sure anybody that is listening, they're definitely entertained. So to all who are listening, thank you again for the support. This is Alex Sani, and I'm out.